At certain moments, everything around you seems to slow down. It's as if time has stopped just long enough for something to be felt on a deeper level, a silent but real movement. And when it happens, it's not always visible to the eye, but those who are paying attention notice it. A different frequency touches the field, a subtle warning, but impossible to ignore. This kind of moment doesn't announce itself. It just arrives, and it arrives for those whose journey has quietly prepared them. Those who have faced long periods without answers, who have walked when the ground seemed to disappear, who have resisted, even without knowing exactly why. Now, that resistance begins to make sense. Nothing you have been through was by chance, not even the darkest days. There was something being built behind every tear, every decision made with a broken heart, every time you chose to believe, even without guarantees. Those moments, forgotten by many, were recorded by forces that operate beyond common logic. You are not being reminded of this out of romanticism. You are being reminded because the time has come to recognize that a cycle is ending. And when something ends, a new path opens up. But to access it, a new perception is necessary, not from the outside, but from within. You have always carried a unique energetic signature, a vibration that, even weakened by circumstances, has never been lost. And now, it is beginning to awaken. It is beginning to realign itself with what is rightfully yours by vibration, not by imposed merit, but by earned frequency. For a long time, you doubted, and that doubt is understandable. After all, there were many broken promises, many cycles that repeated themselves, many doors that, instead of opening, seemed to disappear. But what was being adjusted was not the world, it was you. And now that the field is clearer, more centered, more stable, certain messages are beginning to find space. They are not new, but they echo with a different force. Because now you can hear them with maturity. You can absorb them without needing external proof. You can recognize them as silent truths that have always been there. This truth is simple. Something is coming. A turning point, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. A change in your internal state that inevitably creates a new external reality. It's not about luck, nor is it a miracle in the conventional sense. It is about alignment, about synchronicity between who you are, what you emanate, and what you are ready to sustain. And sustainability is the key, because many receive but cannot maintain, not because they don't deserve it, but because they still carry old structures that cannot support the new. The new requires space, and that space is being created now within you. Over time, you have accumulated expectations, many of them based on lack, on fears, on urgencies. But now, this is beginning to dissolve, not because you no longer desire it, but because the desire is being purified. And a purified desire is a direct bridge to manifestation. Don't rush. Haste is the enemy of expansion. It steals the present and projects the mind into a future that has no form yet. What is being built now requires presence, open eyes, a calm heart, an available spirit. If you feel that these words echo within you, write in the comments, "I am available." This phrase activates a vibrational signal of openness. It communicates to the invisible that there is space, that the field is receptive, that the seed can be planted. And the seed being delivered at this moment is rare, not because it is inaccessible, but because few stop to receive it with attention. You stopped. You are here. And that makes you someone who can, indeed, begin a new cycle with awareness. This new cycle will not come abruptly. It will unfold gradually, but every detail will be different. Synchronicities will intensify. Answers will come faster. Perceptions will become clearer. Everything will seem to flow more lightly. But make no mistake, this lightness will be the result of your depth. The deeper your roots, the lighter you feel. And it is these roots that are being strengthened now, not by force, but by acceptance. By accepting the process, even without understanding everything, you allow your higher intelligence to continue to operate without resistance. And this permission is more powerful than any technique. Nothing external can replace the vibration of someone at peace. And the peace you are beginning to feel is not an illusion. It is anticipation, a kind of spiritual preview of what is to come. Don't try to understand everything. The mind needs logic, but the spirit moves by trust. And it is trust that has brought you this far. Even after everything, you continue. Even when you are tired, you continue. Even without applause, you still walk. That is true strength. And because of this, you are being positioned differently. Life is clearing the way. People will be removed. Situations will be ended. Old plans will lose their meaning. But all of this will be necessary for the new to begin. The new cannot enter a saturated space. And even if this seems confusing, just allow it. Trust that what leaves is not a loss. It is liberation. Trust that what arrives will arrive at the right time, in the right way, through the right channel. You are not here to survive the days. You are here to manifest your light, not in words, in presence. And that presence begins now. There is something subtle but extremely powerful happening right now. While the world continues in its rush, try to fill the silence with noise, you're being called to something different. A frequency that is not accessible with the eyes. An invitation that does not appear on any screen. It is felt, not explained. Recognized, not understood. This call is internal. It comes from a source that has always been present, but is now manifesting itself more clearly. And this increase in clarity is not random. It happens because you have silently reached a new vibrational stage. Without even realizing it, you have passed through gates that once seemed insurmountable. You have overcome burdens that were not visible, but were there nonetheless. And now, this overcoming begins to send signals to the universe. These signals are like living codes. They communicate that your field is more stable, that your energy is more aligned, that the chaos that once inhabited your emotions is being replaced by a quiet steadiness. And that is why, at this very moment, things are being released into your reality. But before everything reveals itself in concrete form, something needs to happen. The consolidation of your new identity. Not the identity that was imposed on you by roles, functions, or experiences, but the one that exists beyond any circumstance. The identity of your essence. The one that remains when everything around you falls apart. This essence has been forgotten for a long time. Not by choice, but by adaptation. In order to survive, you had to mold yourself. Create versions of yourself that fit into environments, relationships, and the expectations of others. But now, none of that holds up anymore. Because what is coming requires absolute authenticity. There is no more room for masks. The new that awaits you needs your true presence. Not perfect, true. And this, although it seems simple, is one of the biggest keys to sustaining the transformation that is being prepared. From this point on, your life will no longer be sustained by effort. It will be sustained by frequency, by coherence between what you feel, think, and do. This coherence creates an invisible force that attracts, opens doors, and reorganizes paths without you having to force it. But beware, coherence begins within. There is no point in trying to keep up appearances if, internally, there is denial, fear, or resistance. It is necessary to purify the field. And this purification begins with the acceptance of what has been, with forgiveness for what could not have been different, with the recognition that everything served a purpose, even what hurt. You're not being asked to forget what you have experienced. You are being guided to reframe it, to understand that even the most confusing moments were aligned with a greater purpose. a purpose that is now beginning to reveal itself. This purpose is not something external. It will not be found in positions, possessions, or validations. It lives in your vibration. It manifests itself every time you choose to act with truth. Every time you say no to what no longer resonates. Every time you trust, even without seeing. You got here not by accident, but by consistency. Even when everything seemed to be falling apart, you kept going, and that activated a different route. A path that many do not see, but which exists. And on it, the flow is different. The rules are different. Here, answers do not come from control. They come from surrender. Surrender, at this moment, is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of wisdom. It is the awareness that there is a greater force coordinating the details, and that this force, contrary to what fear suggests, never fails. You have tried to control. You have planned every step. You have done everything to anticipate results. But now, that structure is crumbling, because the new that is coming cannot be shaped by old methods. It requires a kind of trust that cannot be learned from books. It is learned by living the emptiness, living the weight, living the silence. It was in these spaces that you grew more than ever before. And that is why you are now ready to receive what you previously would not have had the strength to sustain. The blessings that come are not meant to fill gaps. They come to expand what is already whole. And you are whole, even with scars, even with difficult stories, even with heavy memories. You are whole, because wholeness is not in the absence of pain, but in the presence of awareness. The awareness you carry now is different. It allows you to see beyond the apparent, to identify patterns, to choose more wisely, to remain silent when you would have reacted before, to speak when you would have remained silent before. This maturity changes everything. And it is this change that the universe recognizes. It does not respond to despair. It responds to frequency. And your frequency is a new stage. If you feel this within yourself, write in the comments, "I am ready to sustain the new." This statement anchors the energy that is already present. And when anchored, it becomes reality. But beware, the new requires consistency. It is not enough to wake up one day and return to old patterns the next. Vigilance is required, not with fear, but with presence. Presence is what seals the process. Presence to what you feel, to what you tolerate, to what you allow into your life. Now, more than ever, what you accept defines what you attract. And that is why now is the time to reevaluate. Reevaluate your bonds, your ideas, the stories you tell yourself. Every element of your reality is a reflection of what you have allowed to vibrate long enough. If something is out of alignment, it's time to change the transmission. Not with guilt, but with awareness. Awareness liberates. And it is this freedom that will allow you to sustain the expansion that is coming. You're not just being prepared to receive. You're being trained to maintain, to multiply, to share. Because what is coming will be greater than you can imagine. And it will be much more than a personal benefit. It will be a collective calling. Your vibration will touch other lives. Your presence will become the answer for those who are still lost. But this will only be possible if you continue. Continue, even if you don't feel it. Continue, even if you are afraid. Continue because every step is still sacred. Crossing the bridge between what has been and what is to come requires courage. Not a loud courage, but a silent one that manifests itself when you decide to trust, even without guarantees. And it is precisely this silent trust that has activated everything that is about to be revealed. You did not get here by chance. You got here because something in you persisted. Even in moments when you had no strength left, you refused to give up. Even in the face of exhaustion, you took another step. Even without knowing what would come next, you chose to continue. Now, each of those steps makes sense. The path that seemed uncertain begins to show purpose. The pains that seemed empty are proving to be full of direction. And what you believed you had lost is being rescued in another form. Higher, fuller, more aligned. Life is about to surprise you, but not with something random, with something that responds precisely to the vibration you're holding right now. And this vibration is new. It no longer carries the despair of the past. It no longer brings constant doubt. It pulses with awareness, with maturity, with truth. This truth, however, was not built in a day. It was born from facing your own ghosts. It was formed in solitude, in questioning, in nights when nothing made sense. And now, after all that, it becomes the firm foundation on which the new will manifest. You're being guided to access a different reality, a dimension where effort gives way to fluidity, where relentless pursuit gives way to presence, where survival is replaced by expansion. But to enter this space, you must leave the old completely behind, not just in your actions, but in your identity. You cannot live the new while being the same version of yourself as before. You cannot sustain blessings with the mindset of someone who only knows struggle. You cannot reap freedom while maintaining habits that hold you back. This is where many transformations stall, because there is fear in letting go. There is attachment to what, although no longer useful, still seems familiar. But this attachment cannot coexist with the abundance that is approaching. It is necessary to let go, with love, but with firmness. Let go of ideas, bonds, dynamics that are no longer in resonance. Not out of rebellion, but out of wisdom. You are not losing. You are creating space. Space for the new version of your life to settle with integrity. A version where your light will not be contained, where your sensitivity will be seen as a gift, not a weakness, where your intuition will guide decisions with more precision than any logic. This version will not be built in a hurry. It will be built with intention. And every small choice made with awareness will be like a brick in an indestructible structure. You don't need to understand all the details. Just be present. Present to what you feel. Present to what you truly desire. Present to what no longer fits. This presence is the portal. It is what differentiates those who talk about change from those who actually live change. If you feel you are ready for this next step, write in the comments, "I choose to live with truth." This statement establishes a new starting point. It seals your decision and reverberates clearly in the energy field. And when the decision is clear, everything around you begins to respond. The right people appear. Synchronicities increase. Signs intensify, not because everything becomes perfect, but because everything becomes aligned. This alignment is the greatest gift you can receive. When you are aligned, even what once seemed like chaos reorganizes itself. Even challenges take on a different meaning. They cease to be obstacles and become catalysts. Every part of your life will be touched by this new frequency. Relationships will heal. Your body will respond with more vitality. Your mind will become lighter. Your spirit will become more stable. None of this will be an effort. It will be a reflection. You will understand that abundance was never out of reach. That peace was not a distant destination. That purpose was never about doing more. It was always about being more. To be more you. To be more whole. To be more real. This new being that is emerging already carries everything it needs. Nothing is missing. The only thing that can prevent you from flourishing is the fear of being who you really are. And that fear no longer has a place. Now is the time to express yourself, to take the place that once seemed too big, to recognize that your presence is necessary, that your story has value, that your energy transforms. You no longer need to seek approval or hide what you feel. Your path is unique. And because it is unique, it does not need to be understood by everyone. All you need to do is honor it. Follow it. Live it with courage. If someone walks away, let them go in peace. If something ends, let it take with it what no longer serves you. Because everything that remains after that point will be in resonance. And everything that comes will be a blessing. You no longer need to fear movement. The flow of life is in your favor. And it always has been. I just hope you would see yourself with the right eyes. Now, those eyes have been awakened. And with them, you see what was previously hidden. That everything was preparation. That each cycle ended with a purpose. That each pain brought a lesson. That each silence hid a seed. That seed has sprouted, and now it is beginning to bloom. If these words touched your heart, like them, share them with someone who needs to hear them, and write in the comments. My seed has bloomed,